In this video, we're going to talk about the fundamental theorem of calculus evaluation part. If f is continuous at every point of interval from a to b, and if capital F is any antiderivative of f on the interval from a to b, then the integral of f of x dx from a to b is equal to capital F of b minus capital F of a. Now this part of fundamental theorem is also called the integral evaluation theorem. And let's take a look at some examples. So let's evaluate the integral of quantity x cubed plus 1 from negative 1 to 3. Now recall that the fundamental theorem of calculus says integral from f of x dx from a to b is capital F of b minus capital F of a, where capital F is the antiderivative of f of x. So in order to evaluate this, we need to take the antiderivative of x cubed plus 1, which is x to the 4th over 4 plus x from negative 1 to 3. Now you don't need plus c because this is definite integral. When you have a lower and upper limit, you don't need to put plus c. So now, okay, notice x to the 4 over 4 plus x. It represents the capital F. Now we got to plug in b and then plug in a and subtract them. So our b is 3. So it's going to be 3 to the 4th power over 4 plus 3 minus, now we got to do f of a, which is going to be negative 1 to the 4th over 4 plus negative 1. So you end up getting 81 over 4 plus 3 minus the quantity 1 over 4 minus 1. If you distribute the negative, you end up getting 81 over 4 plus 3 minus 1 over 4 plus 1. So you get 81 minus 1 is 80. 80 divided by 4 is 20 plus 4, which is 24. So the answer to this is going to be 24. Now you could easily do this with the calculator, but remember, on the AP exam, there are portions where you cannot use calculator. So you need to know how to do this without the calculator as well. Okay, now what about the integral of cosine of x from 0 to pi over 6? What is the antiderivative of cosine of x? In other words, what do you take the derivative of and you get cosine of x? Well, that's sine x. So antiderivative of cosine x is sine x. And we're going from 0 to pi over 6. So our a is 0 and b is pi over 6. So now you got to do sine of pi over 6 minus sine of 0. So this is a part where you have to know your trig. What is sine of pi over 6? Well, pi over 6 is 30. Sine of 30 is 1 over 2. Sine of 0 is 0. So you end up getting 1 over 2. So the integral of that is 1 over 2. Now let's take the integral of 1 over radical quantity 1 minus x squared from 0 to radical 3 over 2. So what is the antiderivative of 1 over radical 1 minus x squared? This is a good time to review all the derivatives that you've learned before. And it turns out this is the antiderivative of this part right here is arc sine of x. And we're going from 0 to radical 3 over 2. So now you got to plug in the values. You get arc sine of radical 3 over 2 minus arc sine of 0. Now this represents some angle. So sine of what will give you radical 3 over 2? Well, it turns out it's going to be pi over 3. Remember, it has to be in radian. Okay, in calculus, we always do radian. What about this part right here? Sine of what gives you 0? It's 0. So pi over 3 minus 0. So it's going to be pi over 3. So the answer to this integral is pi over 3.